Good evening and welcome back to another episode of the Fight Guys podcast. I believe this is episode 21. Is that right, Will?
21.
Episode number 21, man. Where the hell does time go, huh?
It's crazy, man. I can't believe it's 21 either.
Doing it big, but we're back here for some more combat sports news, just to tell you what's going on in the fight world. I'm sure Will has some news that we can dive into, and of course we're going to discuss the fights coming up this weekend.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Breaking news, Ronda Rousey is pregnant.
Oh, man, congratulations,
yeah,
Ronda.
Definitely. Congratulations, Ronda. That's awesome. I know she's been trying for a few years.
Yep.
So I think that's really cool. She did mess me up on my theory. I do think that was going to take place if she didn't get pregnant, but, you know, having a family is more important. So kudos to Ronda. I think that's really awesome and stuff like that. So, yeah, that's probably the biggest breaking news in the fight game today. Nothing really too much else is going on real crazy that we already didn't know about. But, yeah, we got a good weekend of fights going on. I guess the other news, Nico, it's not really news, but you see this whole Jake Paul thing is still going on. These guys are still calling him out. And, man, it's a sucker move. All these MMA guys, like Tyron Woodley, he'll get knocked out. We talked about it the other day. He'll get knocked out if he takes the fight. And these guys are like, they're falling into a trap. And I'm going to explain to you why. You take a triathlete. They say those guys are some of the best athletes in the world. Correct? I mean, am I right about that?
Absolutely.
Okay. You take him and you can compare him to an MMA fighter because he's got his 3 different things that he works on. And MMA fighters, they have their stand-up, they have their submission game, all that rolled into one, just like a triathlete.
100%.
Here's the deal. Jake Paul is that great swimmer that's just going to swim the length of the pool 2 times. He's going to kill the triathlete because that's all that he's practicing at. His boxing is like a swimmer's swimming. The triathlete's not going to beat him. You get that swimmer into a triathlon, and there it is. He's going to kill the swimmer. But if you take the triathlete and you bring him to a whole new thing, he's not swimming in a lake or whatever it is. He's swimming in a pool. They're not fighting in an octagon. They're fighting in a ring. And they're going just for what Jake Paul is practicing all the time. And like I said, he's that great swimmer. He's that 50-yard dash guy, whatever you want to call him. But he knows that one thing. and he's going to beat all these guys at it. We saw it the other night. Like I said, I didn't realize he was as good as he was. He's pretty damn good. He's real good. Justin is checking in. He just landed in Florida. He'll be at the fights on Saturday. What's up, Justin? You doing all right, bro? Glad you're all right. And so yeah, that's how I feel about it. I just think that these guys, and even Ben Askren was coming out. He's like, "Oh, Tyron is an exceptionally better boxer than me." Well, I think I'm a better boxer than Ben Askren, honestly.
Yeah.
I at least can hold up, my guard. I cover my chin when I throw my jab. You know what I mean? These are all things that Ben didn't do, But anyway, that's what I was thinking about today.
That's a beautiful analogy right there, boss. I dig exactly what you're saying.
And you're somebody who is, you've trained in several of the arts. And if somebody came up to you, Nico, and they were like, "Hey, man, all we're going to do tonight is poke each other in the eye." Okay. Well, I've been training to poking people in the eye only for 4 years. And you've been doing what you've been doing. Trust me, I'm probably going to get the better of you. Yeah, and I feel like these guys are they're falling into a trap and they're making themselves look bad, because
I agree.
Especially because of where Jake Paul came from. Who cares where he came from? The dude's obviously a good athlete. I mean, pretty much a great athlete, I would say. He's ripped. He's a big kid. He hits hard.
And he can afford training that most people can't.
All day long.
All day. Any day. He has a fucking ring in his house. You think you don't do this shit?
Yeah. No, I know. Brandon Carl says you'll poke your eye out.
Yo, that's one of the greatest movies all time.
No, it's the worst movie all time. We've talked about it. I'm just not a fan.
No, cut it out right now. You don't.
I'm not a fan.
You don't like Ralphie?
Nah, I'll take Home Alone over that.
4 hours of A Christmas Story.
Oh man, I'll take Home Alone. Like I said, over Christmas Story.
Drink your Ovaltine.
That's the worst. I know the whole movie. I've seen it so many times, but I'm just not a fan. I mean, let's see. Acting would made Ben Askren's acting would have made it better. Will his acting maybe? I don't know.
Oh my gosh, he's trying to say he took a dive again.
Nah, he didn't take any dive.
I'm totally over this, Brandon. You cannot pay that man to take that punch.
Nah, you can't. And being somebody who is from the world of professional wrestling and making things look good, if Ben took that punch and he didn't really get hit hard, he needs to go ahead and sign with the WWE right now, because this man has skills that are up there with Ric Flair. I'll just go ahead and put that out there.
No, don't you ever do that again.
No, I said if he took that punch and he made it look good and he really took a dive and he didn't really get hit hard, I said then he's got great skills up there with Ric Flair. He obviously didn't take a dive. He took an ass whipping, but it's all good. Brandon Carl says that's exactly what they paid for. I don't know. I think that he was just not very smart in his selection, but it's all good. We do have some fights coming up Friday night. The PFL, their first show of the year. Bro, would you do the same for 500,000 but better? Hell yeah, I'll fight Jake Paul for 500,000, and I think I'd last longer than 2 minutes. I might get beat up, but hey.
But he's not taking a dive, Brandon.
No.
Ask him, would he take a dive for 500,000?
Oh, that's Brandon Carl.
Yeah,
that's Brandon Carl.
Of course.
This is Brandon Craddock. It's another dude. He was asking, would you do the same for 500,000 better? Sure. I mean, I'll train. I'll go ahead and I at least keep my hands up. Ben Askren looked ridiculous. He had his hands almost like this. I was like, what is this dude doing? It was silly. But yeah, enough about that. It's the circus. Nico's convinced that either Tyron Woodley or what's the other guy's name? Connor's jiu-jitsu coach, Dylan Dennis, is going to be next. We'll see. I mean, I would not be surprised at either of those. And yeah, so anyway, the PFL this weekend coming up, Anthony Pettis making his debut against Clay Collard. That's the main event. Should be a pretty good show. I was in there for the media day yesterday. I felt like Bubba Jenkins stole the show. Bubba's a former Bellator fighter coming in for his first fight in the organization against Lance Palmer. Apparently, they wrestled in college a few times, and Bubba beat him like every time. And Lance is the 2-time champ in the PFL, so it should be an exciting fight.
First of all, with a name like Bubba, that man should have known he was going to get his ass kicked.
No, he won. He won more times.
He beat Bubba?
No, Bubba beat Lance.
That's what I said,
yeah.
man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you.
Should have known he was going to get his ass beat. That boy named Bubba.
Yeah, Bubba Jenkins.
What you think a man named Bubba do besides fight?
They
What do Bubbas do, Will? Let's think. Mechanics?
Shrimp boat.
I believe, bro.
They know all the kinds of shrimp. Shrimp gumbo.
Sauteed shrimp.
Shrimp ice cream.
Shrimp parmesan.
For real. But yeah, man, I felt like he stole the show. He was the most entertaining person up there. And he didn't take himself too serious. And I feel like that's kind of the approach I would take if I was a fighter doing a media day, blah, blah, blah. And I really enjoyed talking to him. He was a pretty cool guy. He said he's going to knock out Lance within the first 2 rounds. So, I'm curious to see how that goes. And, yeah, let's turn on a little more light. It's getting kind of dark in here. But also, Shaman Moraes, a former UFC fighter, he's going to be making his debut. I love that dude, man. He had one of the best fights I've ever seen, him and Marlon Moraes. Funny, they're the same last name. And I've always been a big fan of his. I wrote articles about him back in the day, and he used to help me out all the time. This dude told us during media day that for the last year, because he hasn't had any fights and he got cut by the UFC, that he's been delivering Uber Eats and selling stuff on Amazon, man. That broke my heart. This is a dude, 5 fights in the UFC, just got cut, and he can't really even afford to live. That just shows you what kind of money people in the UFC are making unless you're that big star.
Yeah,
that was heartbreaking. When I heard that, man, I was just like, holy crap. That just, that really upset me when I heard that. So, but he's making his debut, and I'm looking forward to that as well.
That Corey had put out.
That Corey?
Yeah. Did you read that?
That Corey Sandhagen?
No, Corey Anderson.
Oh, yeah. Where he said that in his first 2 fights in Bellator, he's made more than he made in his whole career in the UFC.
That's right.
And that's insane. And I guarantee you, Nico, that part of that is because he can have real sponsors again.
That's right.
He's not stuck with Reebok and now Venom. Mm-hmm. So it's good to see that he's making a living now, man, because that's just bullshit, man. These guys go out there, they put their health on the line, they entertain millions of people. And if you're not in the main event, you might make $10,000, $20,000, maybe $30,000, maybe another $30,000 if you win. But you just trained all those months. You got to pay everybody that trained you, everything. We've talked about it. These guys are making scraps unless you're on the main card in the UFC, you're making scraps until you get there. And going back to that, the payment and everything else, and you alluded to this a few weeks ago, how Conor McGregor, he beat Dustin Poirier back then when he really wasn't making any money. And he was hungry. He wanted to be the champion of the world. It happens, man. They get too comfortable when they make a lot of money. Now, Conor's a special case because not everybody in the UFC has $500 million sitting in the bank. That's a star. But there was a certain hunger back then, a certain intensity that he hasn't shown in a while. And these guys that are not making very much money, that's why a lot of the times the best fights are on the prelims, because these guys are fighting just to live. So,
aside from the amount of money that he has in the bank, what Conor has also learned is he can go out there, he can lose, and he can still make a lot of fucking money.
Yep.
So that's the reason I don't have that faith in Conor.
Right.
If that makes any sense.
Oh, it does. It definitely does.
There's guys that like losing is so devastating to them, it's the end of the world. To him, he's seeing that payday at the end. It reminds me of that meme going around of Askren right now where he's walking off happy with his wife. Because that's the big fucking payday of his life.
Yep.
It doesn't matter. Dive, no dive, wherever you side on that. Homie got rocked, but when he woke up, it was $1 million in the bank.
Right. Yeah, and anybody who says he didn't make $1 million, That's fine. It was a disclosed 500,000, but everybody who's an insider in MMA and boxing are saying he made $1 million.
Yeah.
They got to disclose what they're paying him to the commission, but that doesn't include bonuses for media days, all that kind of stuff. What's that?
Pay-per-view points.
Yeah, pay-per-view points, all that. And aside from that, with the Ben Askren case, let me just go back real quick. Jake Paul he's a top 3 pay-per-view star right now. Top 3 in the world right now. What's that?
What does pay-per-views do?
I'm 1.5 fighting Ben Askren.
Oh,
Ben Askren has never been in the main event of a pay-per-view, so we can't even know what he would sell on his own. But you got Conor, you've got Floyd Mayweather, and you've got Jake Paul. Because the Jake Paul pay-per-view sold more than the Mike Tyson pay-per-view. That just shows you where the world is right now. So you got to respect the kid's hustle.
Absolutely.
So anyway, besides the PFL this weekend, Saturday night is the UFC 261. I'm expecting big things. So now you understand why Jake couldn't lose. That's right. Jake couldn't lose because he is the biggest pay-per-view star. And we love you too, Sean. Thank you, bro. Brandon said that. Thanks for saying that. So now you understand why Jake couldn't lose. Right. Jake couldn't lose because Jake picked somebody that couldn't beat him. Even if Ben Askren threw his biggest haymaker, he wasn't knocking him out. And he knew. So, yes, he is smart for sure. But he's just got the right people around him telling him what fights to take and what fights not to take.
Look, at the end of the day, this is all to get to the biggest payday possible, which is Conor McGregor or Floyd Mayweather.
Yep.
He already has every opponent hand-picked out. That does not mean that these guys are not capable of defending themselves. You know what I mean? He knows he can beat them.
Right.
But for some reason, people out there are like, no, maybe this one will get it done. Maybe this one will get it done. No. Everybody you see him in that ring with, he probably going to beat that ass up until Conor or Floyd.
Yep. I agree.
He's not here for a long time. He's here for a good time.
Yeah. And he's
all about the documentary.
Right. You're right. And the movie. He's picking somebody just a tiny bit better than the next guy, it seems like.
That's right, Will.
He took Nate Robinson, who's never had a fight in his life as far as professional.
That's a wash.
Right. Then he took a wrestler who's never been a good striker in his life. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to pick Dylan Dennis, like you said, who is just a younger, exactly. Is just a younger striker. Exactly. So.
And then if he does Nate Diaz, people are going to start changing that fucking tune.
look at what Brandon said. That's the funniest joke of the night.
Can he beat Rockhold at 190? Yes.
Oh my gosh. Rockhold
to sleep. If y'all send Rockhold out there, Rockhold is going to sleep.
Right. Probably quicker than Ben. He cannot take a punch. Not anymore.
No, he don't have no chin.
None.
That you're feeding him to the Don't do that. Don't do that. Yo, DC should be ashamed of himself for throwing Luke's name out there like that.
Right. I didn't like that either. I think maybe he's just trying to help Rockhold get a good payday, if nothing else. But that's awful idea. Rockhold does not have great hands. He's never had great hands. He's been good. You know, he was a good fighter in his time. He might have even been great for a few fights, but no, straight up boxing. Rockhold gets rocked. He doesn't make it through a round either, unfortunately.
You've seen this shit time and time again. Has anybody ever seen the footage of TJ Dillashaw trying to box with Lomachenko?
I've never seen it, no.
Yo, it's just like a fucking.
He looks silly.
It's a master class. TJ gets some shit off because it's TJ. He's light. He's agile. Of course, he gets some shit off, but it's
and he's an athlete and a competitor.
Like father and a son. Like, all right, good shit, my son. Now take this.
I feel you on that. That makes sense.
These guys, this is not your niche. Like, even if you got nice hands for the UFC, it's for the UFC. It's not for boxing, just boxing.
Yep.
And that's no knock on you. That's no knock on you. That's not how real fights go.
Right.
Take you down.
You're right about that. I totally agree. And it just shows really that these guys are a little bit detached from reality. That certain fighters think they could beat him. I mean, what is Dylan Dennis going to do? Really? Nothing. Nothing at all. And I heard somebody say something. Oh, Chael Sonnen was like, even Chael Sonnen, I think, is delirious. He said, well, I think Dylan Dennis would do pretty good. You know, he's undefeated in unarmed combat in his life. Okay. Those have been all jiu-jitsu tournaments or in the octagon where he can use it. What's that?
Little.
Yeah, he's pretty small too. I agree. But these guys, yeah, it's insane.
Oh,
even Floyd is pretty small for him, but just the skill level is just insane.
Is too intense for him to overcome.
Right. I totally agree. But hey, let's go ahead and pull up the fights for this weekend. Let's see here real quick. All right, here we go. UFC 261 Saturday night, and we'll throw that up on the screen. And there we are next to it. So I don't even want to talk about the prelims because I think there's so much to talk about on the main card here. There's a ton. We'll start with the first fight of the main card. You have Anthony Smith, who's number 4, perennial contender. Some people are saying he's a gatekeeper. No, he's not. He's number 4. If he's a gatekeeper, he'd be number 8, number 9, number 10. Anthony Smith stays relevant. 1 or 2 big wins, and he could be back at a title shot. You could see him getting a title shot. He's fighting against Jim Crute, who is a young kid. I think he's 12-1. Pretty good fighter. But all of his wins have been against guys who are pretty much over the hill, or they're guys that just weren't ever that great. He's got a win over Sam Alvey. That's a gatekeeper. He's got a win over Paul Craig. Paul Craig is somewhat of a gatekeeper.
Yo, one day we're going to have a conversation about gatekeepers. I'm going to piss a lot of people off.
Oh, I'm sure. There's one great gatekeeper in the UFC, the greatest. I think it's Diego Sanchez. But we'll we'll see what that is. So
Diego Sanchez is less than a gatekeeper.
Well, for years he was the gatekeeper, though. For years he was. You beat Diego Sanchez, you're going in the top 10.
There's got to be something less than a gatekeeper.
Yeah, I feel you on that. He's a stepping stone. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon Carl said unarmed combat. First time I've heard that terminology. That's exactly. I was giving you a quote from Chael Sonnen. That's exactly what he said. He said Dylan Dennis has never lost a competition in unarmed combat in his life. That was exactly what he said. So we'll just leave that right there.
Chael Sonnen is the original troll.
He really is.
He's an OG troll, man.
And before we get into the UFC, let me just throw something out there. Let me just make something perfectly clear. If Ben Askren and, let's see, hating on the nightmare, that's messed up. Hey, but it's the truth, Tim. Look, if Ben Askren and Jake Paul were locked in a room about this size, let's say 12 by 12, only one guy's coming out of that, and most likely it's Ben Askren. Okay? I'm never going to say that Jake Paul is a better fighter than Ben Askren. He's a better boxer. He's better in boxing. Let's even say that. If Jake Paul is locked in a room with Luke Rockhold, Luke Rockhold's going to win the fight. But they're not doing that. They're not getting locked in a phone booth. They're not getting locked in a room with no rules. They're not getting locked in the cage. So anybody who's misunderstanding what me and Nico are saying, it's not that we think Jake Paul's a great fighter. He's a good boxer.
Nah, he the GOAT.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that, but they're pretty crazy. And
him and Muhammad Ali side by side, I couldn't tell the difference.
Side by side. And another thing, anybody out there, and I've seen it on social media, and you guys are on crack. If you really think you're straight up on crack, if you really think that Jake Paul and Canelo Alvarez belong in the same ring, if you really want to see somebody get their ass beat, that's the fight to make. Canelo will beat his ass.
He will kill that man in the ring.
Exactly. Triple G versus Jake Paul. I saw that. That should be his next fight. No, that should not be his next fight. Not if you ever want to see this guy compete again after that.
No.
You would get embarrassed. Those guys are legends. They're freaking stars. those guys are complete boxers. Jake Paul may be that good one day. We have no idea. But right now, no, he's not getting in the ring with anybody like that. Like Nico said, the end game, that might be against Floyd Mayweather or Conor McGregor. Sure, cool, and he'll lose those fights. But up until then, you're not going to see him fight these like insane boxers. It's just not going to happen. So anyway, now I got that out of the way. Yes, I believe Diego is fighting Cowboy in June. And I think that might be a co-main event on a pay-per-view or a co-main event on a pay-per-view, I believe. It might be the same night as, I'm not sure. It might be the same night as the Moreno and Figueiredo rematch. But anyway, so this Saturday night, Jim Crute, like I said, he's a good fighter. The only time he's ever been in there was somebody who was a top-notch fighter too. He got beat down. It wasn't even competitive, and he got submitted in 3 minutes, and that was Misha Kirkunov. So I'm going to be honest with you. I think you guys are going to see Anthony Smith knock out Jim Crute. What do you think, Nico?
I got Anthony Smith all the way. I'm not even going to sit here and try and bullshit you by throwing shit at the wall for Jim Crute. I think that Anthony Smith is elite. I think he's only lost to guys who are elite. So I don't see Jimmy Crute getting this one done.
Yep, recently he's only lost to elite fighters. Yeah. Back in the day, he had a rough start to his career.
Sure. The start is the start, but I mean as of late.
Right. The only two real bad losses and not even bad losses. His fight against John Jones, he looked amazing.
Yes, he looked really good versus John.
Yeah. The worst loss that I've ever seen him in was against Glover, who's the number one contender.
Yep.
You know, so. Anyway, we can go ahead and move on. The next fight, this should be interesting what Nico has to say about this fight. You got number 9, Uriah Hall, taking on former world champion number 11, Chris Weidman.
I'm so pissy if Uriah loses this match.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to be so upset if Uriah loses this match, man.
I just don't see it happening. But what do you think?
Why are they doing this? First they give him Anderson, then they give him Chris?
Yep. Hey, if he beats Chris, let's just give him a title shot.
No.
I mean, he said, hey, why not? I think him and Israel will be a fun fight.
You think so?
I think it'd be exciting, yeah. I mean, why not?
Weidman put you in the title picture just because he was a former champion?
Just 2 former world champs in a row. Why not? Let me see what Uriah Hall's been up to before fighting against Anderson Silva. Because I think he's on like a 3 or 4 fight win streak already, right? He has beaten in a row Brevin Lewis, who I'm not sure about. He beat Antonio Carlos Jr., who's pretty good. He beat Anderson Silva. If he beats Chris Weidman, he's at least got to get like something big time for him.
What's his current rank?
His current rank is 9.
Okay.
So he's on his way. And in that weight division, besides Darren Till, Israel's already pretty much cleaned out the division.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, so
that could be fun.
Yeah, why not? But what do you think of Chris Weidman?
I think that Chris Weidman is suspect as fuck.
So
he is, man. I think that he's suspect, man.
I think that the only way that Chris Weidman wins this fight is if Uriah Hall loses this fight, not Chris Weidman beating him.
Because you're the man when it comes to shit like this. How long was Anderson Silva's title reign?
That I don't know, but I know it was somewhere around 8 years. I can't tell you an exact amount of time.
How many defenses?
How what?
How many
defenses?
Yeah.
9 probably.
9? All right, great. What'd they do with the title after he lost it?
Nothing. It's been kind of skipping around until Israel got it.
Then play a hot potato with that shit.
Yep. Until Israel got it.
So majority of people who held that shit after Anderson, I'm gonna say the same shit about them. Yeah. That's just how I feel about that, man. You can't take that title off of a fucking legend, a GOAT like that, and then play hot potato with that shit. I guess it's a testament to how great Anderson really was, but come on, man.
Yep. No, you're right. He was the champ for, it looks like 8 years, and he had 10 title defenses.
Come on, man.
Yeah. And still, he's my favorite fighter of all time. You still got to put him in like the top 3 or 4 in MMA history. Yeah, he's older now, and he's still taking fights, kind of like Muhammad Ali. When he got older, he took fights that he shouldn't have taken. He got his ass kicked by Trevor Berbick. I mean, that was just ridiculous. But you got to judge Anderson by when he actually was active, and he was Anderson Silva. So what I was saying, though, is for Uriah Hall to lose this fight, he's got to lose this fight. It's not that Chris Weidman will beat him. It's if Uriah Hall messes up. And what I mean by that is kind of like the Kelvin Gastelum versus Chris Weidman fight. Kelvin knocked him down a couple times. Kelvin was dominating him and made the mistake of going to the ground with him and got submitted. And I see that as the only way really that Uriah loses this fight. What do you think?
I agree with that. So hopefully his wrestling defense is up to par. There's no chance in hell Chris Weidman can trade with this guy.
No chance. And you know, Nico, what the best wrestling defense is?
Strong offense.
Absolutely. Just whipping his ass from the beginning and not giving him a chance to shoot.
Strong offense. Put them hands on his face.
Yep.
And a big fucking knee from the back.
Hey, a la Masvidal. He had the best wrestling defense of all time.
Or Yoel Romero.
Yeah, there you go.
Did him the same way, right?
Yeah, yep. Yeah, but you know what I mean? You just gotta take it to him. And if you do get into that position where you're gonna be, it looks like you're gonna be taken down, like you said, knees, uppercuts, all that kind of stuff all day long. You got to do it. So we both agree.
Back off that fucking cage too. He gets you back on that fence, it's a wrap.
Right. You're gonna be in some trouble.
Yeah.
So I think Uriah is a dynamic enough striker, and I think he's still athletic enough. And I think Chris is just Chris is actually coming off of a win, which I don't even remember that fight, but he is coming off of a win against, let's see, who did he fight last? I was surprised when I saw it. Like I said, he beat a guy named Omari Akhmedov by decision. Oh, on the Lewis Olenek fight. Okay, yes, it's been a year since he's fought. I just think Chris, man, he took too many shots in too many fights, and it's been downhill since then. I mean, when he got knocked out by Dominic Reyes, that was one of the worst knockouts I've ever seen. He got knocked out. And, I mean, that wasn't a middleweight hitting him. That was a light heavyweight. So, anyway, back to the fights. So far, we're both agreeing on the left side here. The next fight of the night is going to be Valentina Shevchenko versus Jessica Andrade.
Yep.
Jessica Andrade is like the perennial contender. She'll always get right to the top. She even won the title for a fight one time. But she's just not championship material in my eyes. And Valentina, in my opinion, is as close to a perfectly well-rounded fighter as you'll ever get. She is good everywhere. She submits grapplers. She knocks out strikers. I mean, she is awesome. Yeah, she went up and she lost 2 fights to Amanda Nunes up at 135. Okay, she dropped down to 125 and nobody's touching her. Nobody is touching this girl. And I told you earlier, I think that Valentina is going to submit Jessica Andrade.
Yep.
And you had a little bit different of an opinion on it. What do you think is going to happen?
She's going to pick her apart on the feet. I can see her counter-striking, sidestepping, looking for that head kick, especially because Jessica's so short.
Exactly, all day long. And that was the other thing that Nico and I agreed with is one sidestep and head kick, and it could be a short night for Jessica Andrade.
Yep.
It really could. Either that, or if she does just pick her apart all night, it'll be a long night for Jessica Andrade. But I don't see her getting it done. If Jessica Andrade throws the greatest haymaker she's ever thrown in her life, you know, we could see something crazy happen, but I just don't see it. Like I said, I think Valentina is complete, and yeah, Paul said bullet with some hearts in his eyes. Paul, if they did a pound for pound ranking in the UFC with men and women, you got to put her in the top 5. She's that good. She's that dominant. So we'll go up from there to the co-main and the main event. So, Nico, here's where we start to separate our opinions, I believe. Weili Zhang versus Rose Namajunas for the strawweight title. Go ahead and give it to me. What's going to happen?
Thug Rose! And new.
And new?
Second time.
All right. How do you think she gets it done? By decision?
Yep, by decision.
Okay. Like I said, this is where we had to break apart and disagree. I think that Weili has a lot better hands than Rose. I think Rose is good, but I think Weili's hands are amazing. In that last fight versus Joanna, she showed that she's a very good striker, man. And I think that
Rose did a master class on Joanna.
She did in the first fight.
Master in both fights.
No, the second fight, even though Thug Rose won the decision, if you look at the stats, Nico, if you look at the stats, Joanna outstruck her in every round.
No.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about that.
Paul O'Day says Thug Rose getting murked.
Get that little weak ass flicking jab out of here.
I'm gonna even tell you how she's gonna win, Nico. You ready for this?
Tell me.
The doctor's gonna stop it for Rose in between either the second and third or the third and the fourth.
You're wildin'.
He's gonna stop it in between rounds. Rose won't make it off the stool. Her face is gonna be busted up.
Paul O'Day, you seen what I did to Yared. You seen what I did to Yared. And I like you as a fan, Paul. But you're gonna have to bring your ass back here on Sunday too. Only y'all getting this work, man. Y'all gonna sing about me in Ireland, man. Y'all gonna talk about me. Y'all gonna preach about me.
I don't think so this time. But if that's the case, I'll be here catching it too.
Y'all know Negro Damas, right? This Nico Damas. This Nico over here. Y'all see what the calls are, man. Stop it. I'll outwork this girl, man.
I don't see it, man.
Outwork this girl. I bet.
I don't see it. And Nico, another thing that I wanted to point out, in my opinion, Rose is a very smart fighter, but I think that sometimes it just seems like she's on like the verge of a mental breakdown.
That's what it is, because right now she's not. You know, right now
we don't know.
Right now it's that Hail Mary full of grace saying prayers in front of Joanna's face, Thug Rose that we're getting right now. You know, it's not the mental breakdown one.
We'll see.
After she wins the title. That's
maybe.
She get to the title match, she win the title.
Yeah.
After she gets the title, she had the mental breakdown.
One thing I will give you is she's got one of the greatest coaches of all time in her corner, Trevor Whitman. I mean, that dude, he's a master. So, Chili Willie, what's up, bro?
You don't think she moving around with Justin Gaethje right now?
Probably.
Exactly.
Probably.
Come on, man. Stop.
I just don't see it, man.
Good looks.
I think that another thing about Weili Zhang, and we don't know this for a fact, but I can almost guarantee you that because of the way that China is, I almost think that they're probably bankrolling all of her training. They probably really want to keep her as champ.
Yo, Will, what the fuck does better dead than red mean?
Better dead than red?
Yeah.
Where does it say that?
Rose has said this in some type of interview or something. I guess when she was asked about, like, what does that even mean? I don't understand what all the backlash is about.
Well, I know that she has been talking about how it's a communist country, China is. And better red than dead were dueling Cold War slogans, which first gained currency in the United States during the 1950s amid Russia's communism, stuff like that. So basically, she's basically talking about how China is a communist nation.
Okay.
Let's see what Paul say. Rose fights best when she's the underdog and already did the impossible twice when she beat that Joanna. She mentally has what it takes, but Zhang isn't human. Okay, Paul. Hey,
you're gonna look human on Saturday.
Hey, you got somebody to agree with you. Here we go. Chili Willie says, "Gotta go."
My guy, thank you. Hey, look, he might not even want to go with Rose, but he already see what the count is for the kid. You know what I mean? He's like, yo, this kid can't pick wrong. And you right,
Paul.
Chili Willie.
Hey, Paul, if you hear me, man, what are the odds on the top two fights, Rose versus Welli and George versus Kamaru. I'm sure that the two champions are both the favorites. I just would like to know how big of favorites they are. I'm sure you know.
There will be 2 titles retained on this night.
3 titles.
No.
Oh man, no. 2 titles retained. You're right.
Yeah.
1, 2. Yep. Both of the women. So that just brings us up to the main event. Because we have
it's so spicy.
We have Jorge. We got George Masvidal coming back for the rematch.
This is blasphemy right here.
Uglier work camps in China. Yep. Okay. Better dead than red was after her condemning of her work camps in China. So okay. Yeah, it's like I said, it's got to do with the communism thing. But yeah, I see Masvidal pulling this off. And I will tell you, Chili Willie says Usman all the way. Chili Willie, I'm going to tell you why I think Masvidal pulls this off. You guys saw what? Okay, he's rooting for Street Jesus. Okay, so Paul says it's going to be N still times 3, but he's rooting for Street Jesus. I'll tell you why I feel like Masvidal's going to win. You saw what Gilbert Burns did to Usman in that first round and had him on, as you would say, Nico, roller skates.
Okay.
Masvidal has better hands than Gilbert Burns does. Okay. And I feel like he's got to go out there and he's got to use his takedown defense, and he's got to open up right away. It's not an 8 days notice this time, man. He's got a full camp, and that does make a difference. Regardless of what anybody says, that makes a difference. And it just does. Usman says it doesn't make a difference. I feel like it does make a difference. And here's why. I've always been good in English. My whole life, I've gotten great grades in English. But if I've got a test that they tell me about today that's going to be on Friday, or they tell me it's going to be in 2 months, I'm going to do way better in 2 months than I am on Friday.
Okay.
All right. So Rose is a plus 160 underdog, and Jorge's plus 330 underdog. Let's see. Okay, yeah, there we go. Rose is plus 160, right. Shevchenko is a 4-1 favorite. I think that they're undercutting him a little bit. I think they're undercutting Valentina a little bit, Paul. She should be like an 8-1 favorite. And Weili Zhang is a 2-1 favorite over Thug Rose. So, the main event, I think that Usman is awesome, but I think that George has the striking. Jorge all day. I'm taking him by knockout by the third round. Nico, go ahead, give it to me, man. Go ahead, give it to me, man. Let's hear it.
Wash and repeat.
So you see it being the same fight?
It's gonna be the same exact fight. Maybe Masvidal gets his shit off for 2 rounds this time. It's gonna be the same thing. Masvidal, I love Masvidal, so it's gonna pain me to have to sit here and roast him up right now. My guy, 3-3 in his last 6 fights. Like, let's go back and look. And his wins are over Nate Diaz, Ben Askren, and Darren Till. 3 suspect motherfuckers. He lost to Kamaru, he lost to Stephen Thompson, and he lost to Damian Maia. Elite. All right. He's not getting over that elite cusp, bro.
The Stephen Thompson fight was kind of ridiculous. I mean, that was a terrible fight. That was a terrible fight.
For who?
For both of them.
Okay.
I mean, for the fans especially. And really, wasn't that a split decision that he lost to Stephen Thompson? Or was it I think it was split, right? Let's see. But
he lost unanimously to Stephen. He lost the split to Damian.
And that was a horrible fight too. Mm-hmm. You're right. Hey, those boring fights, he lost. Absolutely. But you're saying out of his last 6. But in his last 4, he's 3-1.
Yeah, okay.
So you got to go with that.
You're going to count that Ben Askren shit, huh?
Oh, definitely. Hey, look, no matter what happens, everybody listening, look, no matter what happens, that will be on every knockout highlight reel in the UFC for at least the next 10 years.
You know why? Because it's some freak shit.
Exactly.
The same way that y'all sat up here and was like, yo, what about when what's his name? El Pantera Rodriguez hit that back up elbow on Chan Sung Young.
Right.
Right? The same fucking premise, bro. It's some freak shit. So of course it's gonna be around for ages. But what happens 9 out of 10 times? I don't think that happens 9 out of 10 times. I don't think he does that 9 out of 10 times.
No, probably not. Probably not.
He chucked that shit up. He went for the Hail Mary and it connected. All right, whoop-de fucking do. But Kamaru's not Ben.
That's true. That's true. Do you think besides the wrestling grappling area, he's better than Jorge anywhere?
No, I don't. I believe that Kamaru Usman has the worst head movement in the UFC.
Okay.
So he's going to lose. It is going to be, like you said, by knockout.
Right.
I think
because he keeps his head on the center line.
He's going to get him against the fence, and he's going to do what he do. Same way he did to Tyron. Tyron had nobody thought that Tyron couldn't knock him out. You thought if Tyron's foot hit that black line, he knew he only had 2 feet till his back was against that fence. He was going to blitz. He was going to knock Kamaru out. Nope.
Right. Paul says that that Jorge has proved that he has that Hail Mary in his locker. It does prove that. He's a very, very dynamic striker, and he's explosive.
Kamaru's not fucking ducking down to the ground like Ben Askren if George runs across the ring. He's going to throw a fucking right hand at his face.
You know, you always talk about people that shoot from so far away. Ben tried to shoot it from like about 20 feet away on that one. That was insane. I think, I don't know what the hell he was thinking. Like, you watch that video and you're like, man.
Every fight, Kamaru's adding something new to his arsenal.
He is.
He is, right? First it was the jab. Then it became that choppy back front kick to your gut. Now it's the leg kick is starting to come into play. Every single camp, he's adding something new to that arsenal to go alongside with his wrestling and his ability to stomp on your piggies, right?
Yep.
Just chip away at your piggies with his heel.
I agree with that. I don't think he'll get a chance to use most of that. Maybe the foot stomps, but I don't think the leg kicks or any of that will be in use in this fight. And if he does go for that kind of stuff, I think he's going to be in some trouble. Yes.
I think that it will come into play in the 3rd, 4th round, Will. I do.
Later on?
Yeah, man. This is going the distance.
Yeah, okay. Hey, I'm just excited for the fight, but like I said, I'm calling for Masvidal by knockout. I think that there's something to Usman's chin. It just seems like these big-time wrestlers are amazing, but their chins just aren't the greatest. And we've seen it time and time again. You know, people like Randy Couture, when somebody connects, you know, it's not. Even the great George St. Pierre, the one time he got hit with a Hail Mary, you know, one of the worst things I've ever seen happen. That was horrible. I hate it. It bothers me to even think about that fight because it was so ridiculous. You had the greatest really ever, and then you had somebody who really is a gatekeeper land one big shot. Terrible. Terrible.
Kamaru not going to be the first one from Africa to lose his title.
No? Who is?
Hey, man. I'm going to leave that to the people.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be Kamaru.
After the other night, if Robert Whittaker gets that next title shot, I think that we might have an upset. You never know.
That's where my head's at right now.
Yeah, man, Robert's wrestling looked very impressive the other night. You got to think he's been working on that pretty seriously.
Then Francis. And Usman
then Kamaru.
Hold it. Usman just going to hold it.
We'll see, man.
He black GSP.
Hey, if he's black GSP, I'm not even going to call Jorge the Spanish Matt Serra because he's way better than Serra is.
Oh, man, his hair is glorious, too.
His hair is amazing. So
Doug Rose underneath him looking like Matt Serra, though.
Yeah, oh, man, she looks pissed off. One interesting thing, though, that I did want to bring up, and I actually put that in the description of the show so I wouldn't forget, is that Dana White is saying that Colby Covington will get the winner of this fight.
Oh, yeah? Is that right?
So, yeah.
I mean, either way it sells, so yeah.
Yep. He's basically just going to let Colby sit on ice. All right, Chili Willie's calling for Usman by knockout. Ooh, hey, Chili, man, I'm going the complete opposite. I took Masvidal by knockout, but hey,
more
power to him.
I think that Colby Covington's striking is better than George Masvidal's.
You do?
Yep.
I don't know about all that. I don't agree with that one, but I'm
Right.
sure. I'm sure. Look, this summer, I'm sure when Masvidal's defending his title against Covington, we'll have that debate. So you just be ready for that one.
He won't be able to do it in no title fight. That's for damn sure.
but yeah. So Dana White came out and said that he is going to be next for the winner of this fight, and he also indicated that it is going to be Derek Lewis fighting against Francis Ngannou. Now, let me ask you a question, Nico, because I don't know, and Chili, you can attest to this. The world of professional wrestling.
Way to give Francis Ngannou one title defense.
It might be. But also, you know, all pro wrestlers, I feel like, are conspiracy theorists. They think that everything's like part of the work, part of the build up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think maybe John Jones told Dana, hey, man, I'm going to talk all this shit about you in the media. I'm going to act like I'm holding out for more money, but really, I just need a little more time to get prepared.
Hey, I can see that.
He was sitting there waiting for the title shot. He was ready to go. I think he was supposed to fight Stipe. Now he's got to fight a different animal, and I feel like he probably told, in my opinion, I wouldn't be shocked if he said, hey, Dana, give me a few months, man. Right, I got to do this a little bit longer. I'm just going to – we'll call it a money dispute, but, you know, we're cool, man, whatever. I think that could have happened. I would not be surprised. So Derek Lewis is going to be getting the next title shot at Francis, and Colby will be getting the winner of this fight. So both those guys, they're sitting in a good spot right now. John Jones needs a tune-up. Chili, I totally agree, man. And you had said on one of my statuses the other day that he should fight Curtis Blades first. I like that fight all around. I think it's a good fight for John Jones. And, yeah, exactly. JJ versus Curtis Blades. Exactly, John Jones. I wouldn't have minded.
Stipe's head is at.
What's that?
I would see where Stipe's head is at.
Yeah.
That's what I would do if I was John Jones.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. That's not a bad idea either.
Why give Curtis Blades the juice if he already took an L to Derek Lewis?
Right.
He's fighting for the title right now.
I'm
checking out Stipe. Stipe, do you see yourself back in this title picture? Do you still want to fight? How many fights do you have left under contract?
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving Stipe that crack. I've seen DC take him down. I've seen DC knock him out. I'm going to think that I can get that job done versus him. And I was already preparing to fight him in case he beat Francis. So
that's not a bad look either. I kind of feel bad for Stipe, though, because if you really look at it, Lewis has taken the fight, and John Jones is still there in line. Mm-hmm. So if John doesn't take a tune-up fight, Stipe is just supposed to sit around and wait for a rematch. I mean, I feel like they're really not giving him his just due.
Yeah.
You know, that guy's two-time champion, holds the record for most defenses. I don't know. I think that that's kind of a mistake, but I also like the idea of a John Jones versus Stipe Miocic fight like you were talking about. And I'll tell you what would be very, very telling in that fight. The first round, when Jones landed a few oblique kicks, we would see how that fight was really going to go. Yep. Or he said John Jones versus the light-skinned dude. I think that's who he's talking about exactly. You sure he's not talking about Olenek?
Cyril Gahn.
I don't know. Olenik's pretty light-skinned, man.
Olenek is white.
He's Russian, man. He's like almost see-through.
He's definitely talking about Cyril Gahn.
I know. I'm just messing with you, man. Tim Card said he doesn't know if Stipe wants to fight again for the title against Francis. and Chili Willie's just laughing at us, acting a fool. But, yeah. Sorry, Chili. I was just giving you a hard time, man. Olenek is like as white as they come. That's why I was saying that, but it's all good. But besides this kind of stuff, you know, like I said earlier, Ronda Rousey is pregnant. Congratulations to her. And yeah, not too much other craziness going on. Like I said, the PFL this weekend. And one other thing happened today that was booked which I don't know. It's cool, it's whatever, but I don't like the idea of it. They booked a fight night on June 5th, and the main event is Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Augusto Sakai. I think that after Rozenstruik has been looking like crap lately, I don't like him as a main event fighter. I think they should have given him a co-main or just somewhere on the main card and had a better main event. I mean, this guy, he's not been impressing me lately at all. And I don't know. That fight doesn't do a whole lot for me unless they're just trying to build up Sakai, because it seems like Rozenstruik made it to the top, but now that he's fighting guys that are in their prime, he's not doing so well. What do you think of that fight? I mean, is there anything really there?
Not for me.
Yeah. Not for me either.
I don't really give a fuck about it.
Right. I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's probably the weakest main event of the year. Oh, okay. Like I said before, who's the face, the Muhammad Ali of the UFC now? Nico, what do you think, man? I'd say it's got to be Holloway, in my opinion.
Who is the Muhammad Ali of the
Who's
UFC?
the face? The Muhammad Ali of it, yeah, of the UFC right now.
Do they have to be competing?
Yeah, he's talking about somebody competing. I think it's got to be Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier. I mean, Usman could be, but he just doesn't have any personality. You know,
it's Max. Everybody loves Max. Yeah. Max is widely revered as one of the best to do it. And I mean, just like Muhammad Ali, he's taken some losses, but it doesn't define him.
Right.
People still look at his performances and think, holy shit, wow, that was incredible. Even with the loss to Volkanovski, people argued that he won it solely with his hands. He didn't even have to do anything to defend the kicks. They still think that he won that fight. So it's like,
and they're still arguing both of the decisions.
And he talks to anybody. You know, he's a good time. He's great on the microphone. You know, I mean, shit, man. It could have been Khabib, honestly. Khabib was Muslim, right?
Yeah, I mean that's true.
So
he had a big fan base, whole country behind him.
Great moral ground, you know. It definitely could have been Khabib before Khabib retired. That's probably the way I would have went if he was still competing. But being he's not, I'll say Max Holloway as well.
Okay. Yeah, Paul said it's Conor for now still. I don't agree, only because he just doesn't compete enough. And, man, he's taken some losses lately. Yeah, he's probably still the most popular fighter in the UFC, or let me not even say popular, the most well-known. Because I really believe, Paul, at this point, more people are tuning in to seeing him lose than win. And Tim Card said
Dustin doesn't get any love. He did beat Max, but Max went up for that fight.
Right. And Dustin just doesn't have the personality, man. He really doesn't. He's good. He's cool. He's a pretty good fighter. But I don't feel like he has the personality to be that face of the company. I think if Israel would have beat John, then he would have definitely been the face right now. And I'd still say he's up there as like, you know, a top guy, but that loss kind of hurt him. And Tim Card said Conor is done. We'll see. I mean,
you got to keep in mind Max's fight versus Khabib got pulled off the table. That wasn't his fault because he would have fought in every single name there was to fight, man.
Yep.
Conor, he's done Dustin. He could have did Khabib. He did Jose Aldo. Like the man does legends, and he does shit at such a different rate, bro. The performance that he put up against Calvin Kattar is unmatched by anybody. I don't care.
Ever. Yep. Nick, I'm gonna need you to go ahead and repeat that because you froze up just for a second. But you were talking about the Calvin Kattar performance by Max. Go ahead and repeat what you were saying.
I've just never seen a performance like that by somebody in the ring in UFC. What he did was unmatched, man. I haven't seen an output like that ever, man. Incredible.
I feel you on that. Paul says, so if Conor beats Dustin Poirier, which is a big if, name a bigger title fight this year than Conor versus the Chandler Oliveira for the strap.
I got you. It's Conor McGregor versus Jake Paul.
Paul, honestly, I think that if they put together the Francis Ngannou and John Jones fight, it'll do as much as Conor versus Chandler or Oliveira.
Absolutely.
I think it'll be right on par with it. And yeah, I know that neither of those guys have sold a ton of pay-per-views by themselves, but against each other, I think that it does it. And the other thing about it is the heavyweight division in all sports is always looked at as the biggest. And now that we have somebody who looks like a heavyweight champion, fights like a heavyweight champion, Stipe's amazing, but he looks like my neighbor. Francis looks like somebody that if he was standing at my mailbox and I walked out of my house and he gave me a bad look, I'd go back in my house. So I'm not getting the mail that day. If Stipe was standing by my mailbox and gave me a bad look, I'd be like, hey, man, what's up? What's going on? Is there a problem? Whatever. I'm not saying if those two were fighters. I'm just saying if they were random people.
Yeah.
Chili Willie says that does Whitaker beat Izzy in the rematch? At this point,
I got Whitaker.
Yeah, at this point, I think he may. Chili, his wrestling looked so good the other night.
Whitaker. I mean, Israel is young enough and he's so determined to be great and maintain this 185 championship. I could see him really just fucking practicing his wrestling defense heavily, especially after the loss to Jan. But Whitaker just looked so fucking good the other night, man.
He looked amazing.
Versus Gasoline.
Right. I think that although his wrestling will make a big difference this time, I think that it's going to be a whole lot different fight. It's definitely not going to end in the first round. And also, I'm not saying right now that Whitaker will win, but I think it'll be a whole lot better fight. I'll give you a prediction when that fight comes to be. Let's see. So, Paul says they draw max 1 million. Conor draws 1.3 on his own. I will say that Paul 1.3, McGregor and Diaz, also 1.3 million was Usman versus Masvidal. I think that Francis versus John Jones sells more than Usman versus Masvidal, which did 1.3 million. Conor's biggest payday, 2.4 million versus Khabib. That's not going to be broken for a long time. But I could see the 1.3 mark with John Jones versus Francis. The man has an entire nation behind him. He's got his own. He's got legions of fans, and I think that that's going to make a big difference. I think that he's going to be pretty much the biggest star in the UFC in another year or two if he keeps the title. But anyway,
Conor does stop the calf kick. There's the takedown that's going to come to follow it.
Right.
There's the takedown that's going to come to follow it, right? Let's say Conor is the type that's going to lift his leg to check the kick. He's going to feint the leg kick, and then he's going to take you down as your leg is coming back down from checking the kick. If you pull back, he's going to feint it. And when you suck your leg back and both of your feet are together, he's going to shoot him for the double leg because your feet are now touching. He's seen him take him down, so he's going to exploit a way to get Conor's feet together so he can take him down. And then he's going to implement Father's game plan. I don't see this shit shaking out for Conor in any way, shape, or form. I just can't see it.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, because I saw something online the other day, and maybe you can explain it to the viewers and to me. Michael Bisping was explaining the way that he would deal with a calf kick. And he said every time the calf kick came, he would throw a stiff jab.
Yeah.
And he said eventually the calf kick's not going to come anymore because of that jab.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how does that work?
You have to come forward with your body naturally comes forward, and then he's putting the pipe down the middle, so your head is running into it as you throw the kick. But you can also slip your head offline as you kick.
Okay.
So, I mean, bro, it's a million ways to skin a cat. For every counter, it's a recounter, right? So, if I kick you in your leg one time, and then you go, all right, great. When he does this shit again, I'm gonna jab him in the face, and you can meet me head on. You can be heavy on that leg and hard check as you throw your jab. Okay, now you caught me in the face. Now the third time I throw that kick, I'm going to dip my head off, right?
Mhm.
You know, so I mean,
Right.
everybody thinks that they have a defense. Everybody thinks they have a defense, and then when you slip your head off because I jab, I follow with the right hand because I know that your head's going that way. You know, it's
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
what is your corner man telling you? Who's coaching you, and are they calling that shit out when the person does it to you? That's really what you gotta know. You know what I mean? Because you
Yep.
can go out there, throw the kick, get punched in your face, and not know what the fuck is going on.
I lost you there for a second, Nico, but I'll go ahead and read this. Paul said, everyone's talking about the calf kick. Conor will revert back to his karate stance and have less issues with it. That said, DP comes in with a new and improved game plan. He's one of the smartest fighters at light heavyweight. He is one of the smartest fighters at light heavyweight. And
he didn't even get to implement his whole game plan.
Right? I mean, that sounds right. Let's see. Dustin Poirier had a decent career at what, featherweight? He was featherweight before lightweight, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's already taken out. Didn't he already beat Charles Oliveira? Am I dreaming that up, or did that really happen before?
No, I think that happened.
I'm looking right now at his record. Let's see. I guess he didn't, man. For some reason, I thought that he had submitted Charles Oliveira in the past. I have no idea why. I know Max did, and I really thought that he had. I guess they haven't fought before. I don't know why I feel like I've seen that fight before, but I don't know. I think that Dustin, I don't know, man. I think that if Dustin comes out there like he did last time and fights the way he did, it's going to be an amazing fight because Conor's going to come ready.
Conor's definitely going to come ready.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll just, as that gets closer, we'll talk about it because at this point, we could see tomorrow that the fight got canceled. Knock on wood, but that happens all the time. So let's just go ahead and put off talking about that till it gets closer. I want to see some different things before then and how everything's handled up until then, and then I'll make an informed decision. You know who it was that I was thinking of? It was Anthony Pettis that submitted Charles Oliveira, and it was by guillotine in the third round. It was the Maia versus Condit fight. I don't know why I was thinking that it was Dustin Poirier. They haven't fought before. For some reason, I was thinking that they had. But anyway, back to what we were saying. Chili Willie says John Jones is the bad guy, the heel now. I think that fight with Francis will break records. I think that it'll break the record of the heavyweights. I think they'll sell the most pay-per-views for a heavyweight fight ever. I'm totally on board with that, and I think it'll be an amazing fight if they can finally come together. Chili Willie also said Dustin Poirier is the real deal. Conor has nothing for him. Chili, a lot of people think that, man. I'm ready to see it. I'm excited about it. Tim Card wants to know if anything good is on the prelims this weekend. And, they have Alex Oliveira versus Randy Brown. That was a rebook from a few weeks ago. I mean, the prelims, they don't do a whole lot for me. They're just a lot of not that big names. But when you have a main card with 3 title fights, you don't really need great prelims. They went kind of light on that one, and rightfully so. Like I said, they didn't need anything else really. I mean, seriously, if they didn't even have prelims on this card, and they didn't have the Uriah Hall fight or the Jimmy Crute fight, it's still good. I'll watch the pay-per-view just for the 3 title fights, and we can just cut to the chase with all the other stuff because pretty much everything else that night is insignificant. But Nico, on another note, have you started watching Young Rock yet?
I still have not started watching Young Rock yet.
Come on, man. Chili, have you started watching Young Rock yet? That show is awesome, man. I love it. Every time I see it, I relive my childhood. I love the fact that the Iron Sheik and Andre the Giant and the Macho Man and Junkyard Dog are all reoccurring characters. The guy who plays Macho Man does great, man. I love it. I mean, He really does remind me of a young Macho Man. Also, the guy who plays Junkyard Dog looks just like him, man. It's really good. So, and also Andre the Giant, the guy who plays him is good. You could tell though he's not really that big of a guy compared to Andre, but you know who is. But excuse me. But that show is really good. I think it's doing great numbers. Chili wants to know what's going on with Kevin Holland. Hopefully they have Kevin Holland locked in a room with DC somewhere, learning how to wrestle his ass off.
Thanks.
That's all he needs. He's got the jiu-jitsu. He's got the, let's see. He's got the stand-up, everything else. Derek Anderson said, what's up, bro? Do you know Derek Anderson, Nico?
Derek Anderson.
Shout out to Derek Anderson. What's up, bro? And Chili said, man, I can't get that here on the Philippines. I wish I could. Yeah, man, Young Rock is awesome, man. You got to find somewhere to watch it online or something, because it's a real good show, man. I like it a lot. Like I said, I relived my childhood, like when I was like 5, 6 years old. So you'd probably be reliving like your teens watching it. Man, the Soul Man Rocky Johnson, God, that just brings me back, man. Him and Tony Atlas were so amazing back in the day, man. It just, like I said, it brings me back to a better time in pro wrestling, in my opinion. So, Nico, but what have you been watching? You been keeping up with anything?
Wrestling as always. What have I been watching on Netflix, man? I mean, I don't really know, bro. I normally just find myself watching reruns of The Office.
It's funny you say that. I was ready for a nap today. I put on The Office, man. Season 3, episode 1.
It's got to be the greatest television show that's ever been on air, man. Like
definitely.
I could always put that on as filler in the background and just be totally content with my life.
And you've seen every episode, so it's not like it's going to pull you away from what you're doing.
Oh,
but
man.
if you're not doing anything, you could pay attention to it and you're still going to laugh.
Yeah,
Nico.
There's some different shit. Like, what was I watching? Step Brothers?
Right.
That's one of my favorite movies to just throw on.
Me too.
But every single time I throw it on, I notice some different shit that just makes me laugh so fucking bro.
Yes, I totally agree. Back to The Office, though. I don't know if you have Paramount Plus, but if you do, they have Paramount Plus. They have The Office on there, and they have season 3. They redid it, and they cut in like extra scenes. It's called like the fan edit or something like that, or the fan cut. So every episode is actually 30 minutes rather than 18 because they added back in a whole lot of stuff. So it's pretty awesome. I was watching it today, and I'm like, oh, whoa, that definitely didn't belong there. And, you know, just different little things you see, and you're like, oh, okay, all right. So it's almost like a director's cut, something like that.
I love that.
Yeah, me too, man. So that kind of makes it fresh to watch again, even though, like I said, I'll watch that all the time during nap time, whatever, if I want to just throw something on that's not going to bother me and make me laugh and entertain me for a few minutes. Nico, speaking of which, what's your favorite episode of The Office? I know we're getting off topic, but hey, it's all good, man.
Shit, man, that's not. Oh, damn. That's really tough, Will. The Fight is a classic.
Yes. The Fight. Is that, which episode is The Fight?
When Michael and Dwight got a fight.
Oh, yeah, the dojo. That's what's called, the dojo. Yeah, that's my favorite episode ever, man. I was going to tell you that. That is classic, bro.
Classic fucking episode, man.
They go there on their lunch break because Michael doesn't want to sign the papers.
Oh, dude, I mean, I could go on for days about my favorite episodes of The Office. I love when Dwight finds the joint outside.
Yes.
Try to make everybody piss test. Michael's all nervous because he went to the Alicia Keys concert. My all-time favorite, though, for real. All right, so we'll do this. All-time favorite cold open got to be when they're playing catch, right? They're playing football in the office.
Right.
And then fucking Dwight hit stick Stanley and he over fucking Creed. Like, just seeing those two old motherfuckers fall is one of the funniest things ever. And then, shit, what was I going to say? Dinner date.
Dinner date. Refresh my memory. Which one's dinner date?
Pam and Jim finally get roped into going to dinner over at Michael's with Jan at the
Oh my god.
The most awkward dinner
Yeah.
of all time, bro. That's such a class. Or Michael burning his foot on the George Foreman grill. Done. Done. Like I can watch those episodes every day of my life and be perfectly fucking content.
He said, "Well, I like bacon. I like breakfast in bed, and I like bacon." Another episode that comes to mind when I think of their best episodes is when they're doing the charity run and Michael eats all the chicken Alfredo.
Yes, bro. He's carbo loading.
Carb overload.
Such a sicko, man.
Oh man, that was great. That was really good. I also like it, and I need to see this episode again because I haven't seen it in a long time. But I love the episode when Dwight is searching for a person and it's him because he's scared. No, that's a good episode. He's got like the picture and it's of himself and he's looking around for it. So yeah, those are some good episodes, man. But yeah, tell us what's going on in wrestling right now. Anything exciting in WWE?
Anything exciting going on? Actually, this past Monday was probably the worst episode of Monday Night Raw.
I hate to hear that.
Had the honor of watching. It was just a week.
Right. Just a weak episode. Yeah, I feel you on that, man. Yeah, that sucks. It looks like that pay-per-view that they're trying to build up towards the WrestleMania Backlash. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I don't know. Are they going to have a right? They just threw two names together of past pay-per-views. Yep. They're going to be doing the Royal SummerSlam. But anyway, what are they going to have a live crowd there at that next pay-per-view?
Are they going to have a live crowd at the next pay-per-view? They should, right? Because they just had it with the last one, so I don't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah, definitely. I see, the UFC is back to having a live crowd, and, there's nothing like the crowd being there for a fight, for a pro wrestling show. If the crowd's not there, it's missing something, man. It's just not right. It just doesn't seem like the same thing. Wrestling's all about working the crowd. They have no crowd to work. They're working a bunch of computer screens with people's faces on it. It just doesn't do anything for me. So hopefully we do get the crowd back regularly. And hopefully that next pay-per-view is with a crowd as well.
Yes.
But have you been watching any AEW?
I haven't watched AEW in quite some time, man. They started off hot for me, and then they kind of cooled down a bit. So I kind of tuned out. The last thing that I watched with them was when MJF started up his faction and he turned on Chris Jericho in the Inner Circle. That's the last thing that I watched there. I know that Kenny Omega won the title off of Jon Moxley, and he's kind of turned into a heel role as of lately. I saw that he had given the Young Bucks an ultimatum of whether they were going to stick with him or they were going to, still stay good guys, and it seems like they chose to still stay good guys. So,
right.
Okay. I haven't really been tuned into AEW as much as I should be.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Speaking of Jon Moxley, there's rumors going around that he actually wants to come back to the WWE, which is funny because he left because of, I guess the way that they treat you, but the grass is always greener, you know? And no matter what happens, unless some huge things happen, it would take like a miracle. AEW is always going to be looked at as the minor leagues.
Absolutely. And man, this was all great for business at the end of the day. It gave the fans something to get excited about, and John would be welcomed back with open arms, and I'm sure he'd have a great fucking pop, dude. And this is the way that wrestlers should, do contracts for a couple years at a clip, and then be free to go to a different place and negotiate their money. And this was all a beautiful thing at the end of the day.
Right. Oh yeah, definitely. Could you imagine, Nico, Moxley comes back and him and Rollins join Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman manages them? That would be amazing. What's that?
Shield 2-0?
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
And you do what? What would you do? You would take the Intercontinental Championship and the United States, because I wouldn't want to see a tag team. I'd want to see them all as singles competitors.
I could see that. Hey, look, leave
shop with those titles, that would be badass.
If what?
If they ran shop with all three of the titles, no
Bro,
tag team title. Fuck the tag team titles.
even with the tag team titles, leave the Usos with them. Take
Oh,
all the titles.
all of them. Wow.
That would be amazing. That'd be like he's taking over the company. I mean, that would be pretty awesome. But you know,
or you New Day it. It's the three of us. We are the tag team.
Yep, that's true.
Every fucking title. That'd be badass, bro.
That would be, man. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. But also, speaking of Jon Moxley, have you seen his MMA movie?
I didn't watch it. Our uncle Bobby told me that I should have watched it actually.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's all right. It's missing something, but I'll tell you what, Moxley can act. He really can. He was very
that man. Homie cuts the greatest promos.
The best, definitely. He's got something about him. He's got that charisma. He's got that glow to him. He's got that attraction thing that people are just like they want to see what he has to say.
Yeah.
The whole premise of the movie is he's a pro wrestler and ends up fighting a guy who is, I think that they're trying to make this guy almost like Anderson Silva. He's kind of like at the end of his run.
Okay.
And he's not selling any pay-per-views. So they basically tap into the pro wrestling crowd by having a pro wrestler fight against.
Storyline.
Yeah, yep. And I'll tell you what, they couldn't have picked anybody better than Moxley. He was phenomenal. And I usually hate when wrestlers are in movies. Not always, but you know, like Randy Orton. He made 2 movies and they were awful.
Yeah.
He had that same monotone voice as he does in every wrestling promo, and it didn't work out for me. Dolph Ziggler and Kane were in a movie, I think, and that wasn't very good. But Moxley, he belongs in movies. He really does. And it was cool, too, because Christian Cage was in the movie as a pretty big part of the movie, too. So I like that.
I got to check that out.
Yeah, definitely. And,
Cage Fighter?
It's called Cage Fighter. Yep.
Okay.
And I thought it was going to be awful just by looking at the poster, but it was definitely a lot better than I expected. So
how did Moxley do in comparison to the Thunder Lips?
The Thunder Lips? Lips. I'll tell you what, man. I mean, obviously, Rocky 3 is a classic, but if you're asking me if he's a better actor than Hogan, absolutely, all day long. I mean, Hogan's a terrible actor, but you know, Hogan's just a whole lot of hype and excitement and stuff like that. But if you want to get down to it, I mean, yeah.
What's your favorite Rocky?
What's my favorite Rocky movie?
Yeah.
Oh, man. If you don't say Rocky 4, man, I'm like kicking you out of the family.
It's not.
It's not. What's your favorite Rocky movie, man?
Rocky 5.
Rocky 5?
Yeah, man.
Man, that's like the one that people... That's the one that people like wish didn't happen.
Everybody hates Rocky 5. Everybody hates Rocky. It's like fucking blasphemy every time I say that shit. Everybody gets upset that, bro. Rocky 5 is such a classic. Why do y'all Rocky 5 get to see the interpretation of fucking Don King?
That was pretty cool. I do like that part of it.
Dope, dude. It's the street fight. What are you talking about?
I didn't like the fact that they didn't fight in the ring.
What? The street fight was amazing. He does the drop down hook behind his knee. It's getting fucking crazy. What are yo? Stop it right now.
Come on, man.
His son trains and beats the dude's ass and takes it back. What are you talking about?
It was just, I don't know. I really like. Okay, so.
But what was Mr. T? What was Mr. T?
3.
Okay, if I'm being totally objective and I'm not gonna sit here and make jokes, number 3 is my favorite. Mr. T, hey, girl, hey,
yeah,
come on, I'll show you what a real man is. Oh my God, the T was.
That was pretty amazing. I agree with that. It was awesome. I really like Rocky 4. I just think that it's like I know all the Rocky movies. Most
Rocky
of them
4 was the most unbelievable shit, and he fought Antonio Tarver in one of the movies. Rocky 4 was absolutely unbelievable.
That would be Rocky 6. Rocky Balboa. Hey, I liked the Rocky Balboa movie, actually. I thought that was a pretty good movie.
But Rocky 4 was too unrealistic. That man could have punched a hole through Rocky's fucking head.
That's why Rocky Balboa has, like, CTE and all the brain damage now because of Drago, man. I mean, nah. But, and I love the Creed movies. I think that they're amazing, man. And I wasn't excited about them when they were getting ready to come out. I was like, just leave a classic alone. But I think that it definitely carried the torch on for the future. And, you know, I'm excited to see the third one. Did you like the Creed movies?
I did like the Creed movies.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty good.
They built it up nice.
Yeah.
You said they're going to do a third?
Yeah, they're going to do a third, but Sylvester Stallone is not going to be in it, or maybe he might make a cameo, but it's not going to be based around him being in there.
Yeah, I definitely like that. I look forward to the third one for sure.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know why, but they're making another Rocky movie.
Shut up.
No, they are. They're doing another Rocky movie, but it's obviously he's not going to fight. But they're going in another direction where he's training somebody else, apparently.
Not Creed?
Not Creed, yeah.
And that was his son's son?
Nah, I don't think so. But that's basically why he's not going to be in Creed 3, or he's just going to have a quick little cameo because apparently he takes on somebody else to train. From what I remember reading about, it's been a few months. It's going to be something like he's training like a Spanish guy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, hey, you put out Creed 3 and you put out that Rocky movie. Hey, you never know. They might just, you know, bring them back together and have Adonis and the Spanish dude in the next movie. You never know, right?
Ooh,
with Rocky and the other dude in the corner.
Crossover.
Yeah.
So. That would be wild, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just spitballing, but I think that would be a pretty cool way to bring it back together. And, you know, Rocky's got his two proteges going against each other. I think that'd be crazy. But look, Rocky 5. Let me just say,
do not shit on Rocky 5.
Rocky 5. You say that Rocky 4 was the most unbelievable. Rocky 5 had some very good things in it, and it had some very realistic things in it.
You gotta piss me off, Will.
No, because you said that Rocky 5 is.
You kind of like you're being nice, like you're easing into it. It has some good things.
No, it had some. I'm going to tell you what I do like about the movie. I'm not giving you a hard time. What I like about Rocky 5 is the realism of Rocky being broke is very, very accurate because of a lot of the fighters back in the 80s,
that's right,
early 90s that made millions and went broke because they mismanaged their money. They had people that screwed them over. Perfect example is Riddick Bowe, whose net worth now is $30,000. And in his career, he generated over $100 million of revenue for himself. But Rock Newman was a piece of shit and stole all his money. Okay. So that part of it I do like. The fact that they did parody Don King, I thought was pretty awesome. Right. When you look back at it, it's great. And the dude,
touch me and I'll sue.
The guy who played him is awesome, right? He's like, sue me for what? But no. So, like I said, I don't hate the movie. I just think that it was.
And then the trainer taking on the kid, and the promoter getting to the kid, and like, pulling him away from the trainer.
That happens too. Like I said, there was
dude, and you still even as the trainer watching this guy go professional, you still watch him and want the best for him, and you want him to win, and you see him doing the shit that you practice leading up to this. Like, bro, that was great, dude.
No, it was. Like I said, I'm not giving you too hard of a time about it because I know that it is like a very low regarded in the series, but it is a good movie. And the reason why I think that you like it a lot is because it came out in your lifetime when you were a kid. Yep. And I'm sure your dad probably took you to the movies to see it. I hate the fact of what really did happen to Tommy Morrison because that's like an American tragedy. Mm-hmm. That dude was like larger than life back in the day. And he ended up dying broke.
Tommy was the first real boxer that they brought on.
Right. Okay.
Right.
I believe so. I think so.
Maybe some other guys like moved in as the people that he was beating up. I mean, like the main dude, you know?
Yeah. They originally wanted to get a real boxer and he tried out and from what I read, he put Sylvester Stallone in the hospital, like Rocky 1 or Rocky 3 or something. Let's see. I know that I read about that, and it was like Rocky, or whatever, Sylvester Stallone talking about it, and he was, I don't know, what was it? I don't even want to say who I think it was, but it was pretty crazy what I was reading. In the hospital. I almost want to say like Larry Holmes or somebody put him in the hospital. I don't even see it right now. I do know that Dolph Lundgren put Rocky in the hospital.
Oh, when is that right?
When they were filming 4, yeah. And apparently Carl Weathers and Dolph Lundgren, the dude who played Drago, apparently they hated each other. They did not like each other on the set.
Is that a fact?
Yeah. You know what? There's also a rumor that Mr. T is going to be in the Creed movie. I'm not sure if that's true, but that is definitely a rumor out there also. So that would be interesting to see if that happens. But yeah. So, Nico, is there anything else going on in the world that you would like to discuss before we finish up here tonight? It's been an awesome episode. We've talked about The Office, Rocky, the UFC, the PFL, Ronda Rousey, Jake Paul, everything. Anything else you wanted to discuss tonight before we leave these guys?
Nah, man, I think that we covered all bases for the night.
Yeah, we got in some good talk about Rocky, man. And Number 5.
What did you say about Mr. T, though? I lost you.
Oh, I was saying that there is a rumor that he's actually going to be in the next Creed movie, too, for some reason. So,
Mr. T is alive?
Yeah. Yeah, Mr. T is alive.
No way.
Yeah. Yep, Mr. T is alive. I'm about 99% sure.
I think Mr. T is not alive. He's so tiny now.
No, he is. He's alive.
He's such a small guy now, right?
Yeah, he's got T-cell lymphoma.
Okay.
And yeah, so but supposedly he is going to be in the next Creed movie. That's like the big rumor out there, kind of like Drago was in the other one. I really think though, as Creed goes forward, they should keep Drago's son at least part of the story. Because I thought he was awesome. I don't want them to get away from him. Mm-hmm. And, you know, in typical Rocky fashion, they only had 2 fights. That one, maybe they can get a third one out of in the future. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, man, I think it's been a great episode. I've had fun chopping it up with you about the fights, about The Office, all that stuff, man.
Always, brother, always.
But yeah, man. So we will see everybody on Sunday. Nico, go ahead and take us home, man.
I already know what it is. No need to adjust your screen. It's not Bruce Buffer, but we are here live on the TFG, man. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll holler at you next time.
Definitely. You guys be good. Peace out.